else kind of realize or get this weird feeling that Brandon Royval is getting sent to his doom? You know, did anyone else get that achy feeling that someone on the matchmaking team essentially wants Brandon Royval ended? You know, murked, destroyed, completely donezo for? Why in the world is Manel Kape and Brandon Royval getting scheduled for a third time? I get it. I understand the rankings just so happen to match up that way. And, you know, it's a really good fight. And let me give you a little bit of perspective. Brandon Royval pulled out of the fight beginning of the year due to concussion issues. Okay, so they rebooked it. They said, hey, let's give this guy a little bit of time to recover, to recoup. They can fight sometime in the middle of the year. They rebook it. Brandon Royval gets caught wearing a neuronic device sometime around that general time frame. The fight doesn't go through, however, though, because Manel Kape pulls out this time due to injury. Who steps in? Joshua motherfreaking Van. Brandon Royval and Joshua Van fight, and Brandon Royval eats 200 significant strikes from Joshua Van. Over 200 significant strikes. Both of those boys went to war, bro. Over 400 significant strikes each thrown. And, you know, yes, Joshua Van took a lot of damage, but he is 24 years old. He is 10 years younger than 34-year-old Brandon Royval. So you cannot sit here, and we're not even talking about Joshua Van. Joshua Van is not the one fighting Manel Kape, one of the hardest, if not the hardest hitter at 125 pounds right now. Brandon Royval is. You cannot convince me that whoever keeps trying to put this match together doesn't want Brandon Royval just murked, bro. It makes absolutely no sense. Why did Brandon Royval not get booked against an Amir Albazi and a Sue Almabayev? Even maybe a Horiguchi? No. Dude, the UFC said, screw that. Manel Kape, you guys are fighting. This isn't going to be a Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov situation where we're just going to miss out on a good stylistic matchup like this. You guys are fighting. And to be completely honest with you guys, I just see Manel Kape going in there and dominating this fight. On the feet, he's going to have more power. He's going to be quicker than Brandon Royval. I want to say quicker in terms of getting his power shots off. Brandon Royval is definitely going to be slightly quicker in terms of volume. He's going to be definitely producing a lot more volume, throwing a lot more strikes. But when you're throwing those pitter-patter strikes against a Manel Kape, that's really only kind of putting you in range for him to knock you out. It is a 5-round fight. So either Manel Kape is going to go in there and absolutely chin Brandon Royval early on, or this is going to be a 5-round war between two badass 125-pound flyweights, and we're not going to see much grappling. We're going to see a lot of striking. We're going to see a lot of clinching, a lot of knees, elbows. We are going to see some blood. And it's not going to look good for Brandon Royval specifically. Manel Kape, he may take some damage from Royval, but Royval is not the kind of guy to find that one power shot. Manel Kape, on the other hand, is more than capable of finding that one shot that either puts you out or doesn't necessarily put you out, but stumbles you a little bit, makes you lose your footing, your balance, makes you kind of lose focus of the fight. And the next thing you know, he's pouncing on you and raining down hammer fists, elbows, whatever he can to your face, to your chin, to the side of your head, to your ear, to finish you. And then the fight is over. Manel Kape is very, very dangerous. If Brandon Royval was going into this fight, you know, a little bit more grapple-heavy approach, a little bit more wrestle-ready against Manel Kape, I would absolutely sit here and tell you, yeah, okay, Brandon Royval is more than capable of winning this fight. But he's not going to do that. Brandon Royval might mix up the takedown here and there, but Manel Kape is very good at getting back to his feet. Brandon Royval is not known, you know, to have some Pantoja-ass control on the ground where, you know, you're scared to give up your back to him and you don't want to give him some sort of arm triangle submission, or so, you know, you play the safe game and try and ride out a round or wait until you see his move first to counter. It's not one of those games, bro. It's not one of those games in this situation where Brandon Royval has that luxury. Manel Kape has very good takedown defense. He's very strong. He's very quick on his feet. He's in and out. He lands very big shots. He's technical. And not to say that Brandon Royval isn't all of that, but I just see Manel Kape excelling at the stand-up. I don't see this fight going to the ground. And when it comes down to it, who is more capable of finding a finish in this matchup? Manel Kape. You would be silly to sit here and say Royval. What is Brandon Royval going to do? I'm serious, man. What's he going to go and double leg him from halfway across the octagon and then drop into an arm triangle submission and finish him? Snag his back like a Pantoja? Take him down like a Islam Makhachev? No. We are talking about Brandon Royval. Yes, Brandon Royval is going to go in there. He's going to put the pressure and the pace on a Manel Kape, but I feel like that's going to play right into Manel Kape's game plan. He's going to go in there and look for the big power shots, the counter strikes on Brandon Royval, who's going to want to come in close. And even if Brandon Royval takes Manel Kape down, I'm not concerned. Manel Kape is going to get right back up. He is not the kind of guy that you take down and just control there. A lot of people are going to sit here and they're going to say, well, Manel Kape, man, he got submitted before. He's not prone to not getting submitted. He's not invincible. Yeah, obviously he's not invincible. Obviously he got submitted before early on in his career. He hasn't been submitted in 8 years. 7, 8, 9 years he hasn't been submitted. And Manel Kape's fought guys like Asuam Abayev who have very good grappling. Better grappling than Brandon Royval, I would argue. And people... I don't understand the whole theory of like, oh, well, Brandon Royval, he's got enough... Yes, Brandon Royval's got great scrambling grappling, okay? If they get into a scramble, Brandon Royval is more than live. But do I see Brandon Royval going in there and single-legging Manel Kape and ripping him to the mat? Do I see him going in there and clasping his arms together and double-legging a Manel Kape to the ground? You know, pulling his hips up from underneath him? No, I don't. Do I see Brandon Royval going in there and pulling a Tatsuro Taida and jumping on Manel Kape's back? No, I don't. So what do I see? I don't see a good fight at all for Brandon Moreno. I'm not sure why this fight is scheduled. It's a cool fight, but in terms of Brandon Moreno, Royval's health, in terms of the longevity of his career, this was one of the worst decisions the UFC could have made, the team could have made. Anyone that has any sort of involvement with Brandon Moreno that wants good for him should be absolutely ashamed. Should be absolutely ashamed. I'm pissed. I mean, I seriously don't understand why he's not fighting a guy like Amir Albazi. Why he's not fighting a guy like Asu, maybe. We'll see, man. Good luck to Brandon Moreno. Manel Kape is going to go in there. I do believe he will find the finish eventually against Brandon Moreno. The concussion protocol, the neuronic devices, the recent performance from Brandon Royval too, and not to say it was a bad performance, but I mean, the cookie's going to crumble the way the cookie wants to crumble, and the apple only falls so far from the tree. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Leave a like down below. Comment who you think is going to win, Brandon Royval or Manel Kape. I think Manel Kape's going to go in there and knock him out probably in the late 4th or 5th round. But we'll see, man. If Brandon Royval proves me wrong, let's go. We'll be able to see like Brandon Royval versus Moreno 4. Or maybe even Pantoja versus Brandon Royval 4. Let's go. Like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who you got. Peace.